What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Bkny Hoops. If you are new to the channel, I am your host, as always, Rashid White. All right, you guys see the graphics. You see the title. Stephen A. Smith wants Thibs fired, and basically for no reason, right? And he actually tries to lie and say that, oh, Thibs is actually overplaying these guys, and when that's actually not really truly the case. I'm going to show you why that is actually false. And Stephen A. Smith is always trying to just instigate something, drum up something just for headlines. He is like the biggest clown when it comes to sports media. All right, let's get into it over here. Let's get into the actual article. This whole thing started where it says Mikal Bridges asks Tom Thibs to play Knicks starters fewer minutes. He actually really believes that the Knicks pretty much they do actually have a really good roster in terms of the bench, and they can give them some decent productivity. I disagree with that. I think the Knicks roster for the most part is actually top heavy, and I think in the offseason they're going to actually have to add a couple of pieces, maybe via free agency. There's a lot of guys there, you know, in terms of like good role players that can actually probably help them. But, you know, again, they have to wait to the offseason to actually do that right there, man. Let's see. It says over here, he says sometimes it's not fun on the body. Bridges said before hitting the OT winner at the buzzer. All right, we're going to get into Stephen A. in a second, man. I just wanted to say I did a video on Mikal Bridges and Thibs, and to say that he needs to get him more involved in the offense, right? We've seen the reputation of Mikal Bridges, the amount of 30, 40 something point games that he's actually putting up with the Nets, and you don't want the offense to actually just be so predictable, right? You don't want it to constantly have to go through Jalen Brunson and go through Karl Anthony Towns, right? You know, Cat can actually play off the basketball, and so can Jalen Brunson as a catch and shoot player. They need to run some more like plays for Mikal Bridges, you know, get better matchups for him. You know, just, I'm not saying every single possession they actually have to do this, but, you know, you want to actually keep him engaged, right? And not just like standing there. You know, you want to, you want to kind of make him feel like he's actually part of the game. All right, so let's get into what Stephen A. Idiot Smith actually had to say, man. Let's see what he actually has to say here.
And his former teammate at Villanova, okay, saying something opposite that the coach is saying when everybody and their mother knows that Bridges is right. And here's where Bridges has the credibility. Molly Perk can testify to this. He's one of the Iron Men of the league. He's always playing. He doesn't miss games, and he doesn't play minimal minutes. And Perk, when? Because we know I got a whole bunch. I know I do NBA countdown with you, but I got a lot of stuff to do, okay? I'm not on the NBA every moment of every day like you are. Big Perk, when have we ever heard Mikal Bridges complain about anything, let alone minutes? That's not the same page. That's not a good look for the New York Knicks. And if you got to choose between the player and the coach, under these circumstances, when you're looking at players being worn out, Mikal Bridges ain't say that for himself, y'all. He's speaking for the team. And Tom Thibodeau says it didn't happen? That's a bad sign. It's a bad sign. It's a bad sign.
Yeah, but that's like in Tom Thibodeau's defense, did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said in his interview to Mikal Bridges' comments? He basically pointed out that when you look at the top guy on their team that's playing the most minutes, I believe it was Jalen Brunson. I think it was. Okay. He's knocking at the door. He's top 20 in the league. And then he pointed out that his wings, yes, Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, if you look over the last like month and a half or so, their minutes have went down to 36 minutes a game. And he also talked about the parent and why OG and Mikal Bridges play so many minutes, because they're quote unquote elite wing defenders. So if you're playing against a Jason Tatum or playing against a LeBron James or Jaylen Brown, and those guys are playing 40 minutes, 9 times out of 10, the coach are going to match those minutes. You have to. But here's the problem that I have with Mikal Bridges saying that. What did they give up? What did the New York Knicks give up to get Mikal Bridges?
5 first-round picks.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because Kevin Durant is not complaining. Yeah, it is.
That is not fair. No, it's not. It's not fair. It's not fair, and I'm gonna tell you why. Perk, if you are an Iron Man, listen to me, bro.
I mean, exactly. If you reduce the minutes of OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, and Tatum, Jaylen Brown, you know, all the top wings, like, you got to see the Boston Celtics 4 times a year, right? You have to see the Cleveland Cavaliers 4 times a year. You know, a lot of these teams around the league, Orlando, Ja Morant with the Memphis Grizzlies, you see them twice. I mean, that's just how it is, right? And when you don't have anybody else that can duplicate what OG Anunoby can actually do, and what Mikal Bridges in terms of their defense, I mean, you gotta match up, man. That's just how it is, man.
You are an Iron Man who has been in this league for close to a decade and never, ever, ever complained. All your years in Phoenix, in Brooklyn, you are known as one of the Iron Men of the league. Minutes played, games played, no load management with this brother. The fact of the matter is him saying something. When you know the history, listen, we know, and I hope Tom Thibodeau's watching.
So y'all know how full of ish Stephen A is, man. I mean, he was complaining about the load management. I should have prepped better for this. He was saying like, oh, it's so bad, it's horrible for the NBA, and this is why the ratings are actually down. And now he's actually complaining for load managing. I mean, this dude is such a hypocrite.
I know Tom Thibodeau is a great coach. I am proud to have him as the head coach for the New York Knicks, man. I love the fact that every time this man is demanding his teams go out there and play hard. Nothing but profound respect for him. But the one Achilles heel that he has had in New York before that, in Minnesota, in Chicago, is that he will run players into the ground. His top 7 players. We know that, Perk. And if that's your reputation, you got to guard against that. You can't have somebody like Mikal Bridges pointing that out. I'm not going to ignore Mikal Bridges. He's not one that says something like that lightly. He wouldn't do that.
See, this is the problem that I have, is that when people say that, they're not clarifying and talking about the whole thing when you talk about Tom Thibodeau in this narrative that's been out far as him running guys into the ground. What they're speaking on is that when he was in Chicago, when he was in Minnesota, they're talking about how Tom Thibodeau used to practice so much throughout the course of the season and how long his practices used to be. They talk about how Tom Thibodeau used to have guys taping their ankles for shoot-around. Tom Thibodeau is not doing that anymore. Guys are getting days off. Here's another.
All right, like I said, Stephen A. Smith, again, he just doesn't know what he's actually talking about. I mean, he doesn't really give you any real analysis. He's just a mouthpiece. I mean, that's it, right? And people like myself are going to keep constantly calling this guy out, right? So, you know, like, look at where they at in the standings. I mean, they have to play hard. I mean, they're only like 5 games back from the Bucks, but the Bucks can easily like creep back up into this. Then you got the Pacers there. The Pistons are not too far behind, and then you actually, so you don't want to actually fall into the play-in territory, and then you actually have to work even harder, man. So, I mean, right now at that 3rd seed, this is a really, really good matchup. I think they'll be playing the actual Detroit Pistons, right? And this is actually a really good matchup for them, right? After the Knicks actually easily win this series, all they got to do is get the ball out of Cade Cunningham's hands. Cade Cunningham, I'm sorry. I was almost choked there. And force like guys like Tobias Harris and those other guys to kind of really beat you, right? I mean, that series shouldn't go no longer than actual 5, man. Maybe the Detroit Pistons actually get a game though. So like Tibbs is actually really, really, really trying to stay hard. I mean, stay at this third seed over here, right? I mean, this is a sweet spot for them right there. I don't think it's actually worth trying to catch the Celtics. And then a 2-7 matchup would be if the Hawks actually do win. Then you got Trae Young you got to face. I mean, he's tough. You're going to actually have to work hard on defense. So, Tibbs, I think he's actually really doing a really good job. You know, Stephen A. Smith is just like, I don't know. He's just a hater, man. Calling for Tibbs' job, man, when like Tibbs is probably like, I mean, listen, the coach, the players are actually responding to him, man. You know, if they didn't like Tibbs, you know, you will see it. You'll see like these guys will go on losing streaks and they won't be playing hard, but whatever Tibbs is actually doing is working. So, all right, I will wrap this video up. Definitely like, comment, subscribe. Certainly share this video. When you share, the universe certainly shares back with you. Peace.